Howdy, my name is Nonat, and recently, BKOM Studios, the game devs behind the new Abomination Vaults ARPG, has recently announced that they are releasing not one, but two new Pathfinder video games, the second of which, Gallowspire Survivors, is actually coming out later this year. Now, if you're not super into the video game scene or haven't seen this specific title before, the name and gameplay style might look a little bit weird. Why is there Survivors just tacked onto the end? Why not just call it Pathfinder Gallowspire? Well, that's because this is a whole new genre of game, which has been around for maybe 2 years at most at this point, and it's all sourced from this game you see on screen, Vampire Survivors. This little $2 indie game did so well at innovating and revolutionizing its own subgenre of gameplay, it has become its own game type. And that's what we're getting with Gallowspire Survivors. So obviously, Gallowspire has not released yet, but what I wanted to do is show off Vampire Survivors to show off a very basic idea of what you can expect from Gallowspire Survivors. While the games are going to look quite different, they're going to play, I imagine, incredibly similar. So let's go ahead and load into just a basic character here, Antonio. I've got some level ups outside of the game, but we'll just start in the basic level 1 and hit go. So, what is a Survivors game? Well, you're looking at it. You can see my character is just attacking on regular patterned intervals. This character starts with a whip. He whips to the left and the right every couple of seconds automatically. I am not aiming. I am not clicking to attack. All I am doing is moving around the screen. You can see I collected enough gems to level up. Let's go ahead and grab the Song of Mana. I don't think that was in the game last time I played Vampire Survivors. Oh, yes, it was. Okay, I recognize that now. This is the game. What you are seeing right now is the entire game. And it has taken the world by storm. There's a few different facets to a Survivors game that I guarantee BKOM is going to be copying. The first is obvious. You walk around and aiming is either not part of the game or it's optional. I've recently played a game called Halls of Torment, which is another Survivors-like, and that is a game where aiming is optional. You can aim, but it's not required. In the original Vampire Survivors here, there's not even an option to aim. If you are moving, you're shooting. It's just automatic. The closest thing you get is like the knife I have, where I'm shooting in whatever direction I'm currently walking. You kill enemies, enemies drop experience, you don't get it automatically, you do need to walk over and pick up those little upgrade, the little bits of experience to level up, get new upgrades, and then, again, similar to this, I imagine this is how it's going to work over in Gallowspire Survivors, you don't just get new stuff every time, you can choose between getting a new item or upgrading an existing one. You can see we just upgraded our whip, and now our whip slices 3 times instead of twice. And the game is made to be played in small, half-hour chunks. I say that, but you'll find yourself playing a game like this for well over 2 or 3 hours straight, because, you know, it's just one more run. It's just one more run. Every so often, a boss monster will spawn. This is the same in every single Survivors game, and if you can kill said boss by whacking it enough time with your various weapons, I don't know how long this is going to take. We'll go ahead and increase the damage of our knives. You can also see that what's nice, and what keeps this game so fresh, is you have a limited option of what to pick on leveling up. You know, when you level up, you don't just get the same options. I'm not going to get this Song of Mana or this knife every time I play, but I did get offered it, and because I picked it, I'm going to start getting offered upgrades for it. But maybe instead, on a different playthrough, I'll get offered a boomerang or an axe to use instead, which attack in totally different ways. So even though all you're doing is moving, all you are doing is moving around, it's still such an impactful gameplay feeling, because every choice you make will completely alter how you move around. You know, the way I move, the directions I'm choosing to move, are entirely dependent on the weapons I have equipped. I know I can shoot up and down, I know I can shoot left and right, so I want to keep things roughly above and to the side of me. If you kill a boss, you get a treasure. which, please, Gallowspire, make sure it comes with a bumpin' bangin' song like this, because nothing beats that. You get some money, you get a little, a free upgrade as if you had leveled up. It's good stuff. Upgrade the base damage of our whip by 5. Duplicator? I don't think we need Duplicator on this build. Song of Mana is good, but Duplicator would just make me whip an extra part. I guess an extra knife wouldn't be bad. So I'm just going to do a full playthrough. I'll keep trying to remember to talk about what I'm doing and how it relates to Gallowspire. But this is the gist of what you're going to get out of a Survivors game. Now, what's cool is it already looks like Gallowspire is trying to innovate the genre. BKOM is doing what they can. What is this? I don't know this one. Oh, that's the straightforward one. Okay. BKOM is doing what they can to make sure it's not just a clone. The first thing they've done is, on top of there being multiple playable characters, which isn't new, that's a base feature of these games, but you will not be going in solo. Instead, it looks like you will be picking one of the 3 playable characters, the fighter, the mage, or the rogue, and then picking a different one to bring in with you as an AI companion, really playing into that, you know, slightly party-based RPG mechanic that Pathfinder is obviously so known for. So I think that's cool. I think that's a nice little thing that none of the others have done. These have always been very solo experiences. So being able to go in with a party comp, even if it's just 2, that's going to be neat. They've announced there are going to be feats. You know, I'm guessing that's going to be their version of leveling up. You know, when you level up, instead of just getting the next dagger upgrade, which is whatever, 1 extra projectile, maybe you'll take a feat that augments an ability to, you know, shoot 1 more projectile. I imagine it's not going to try to reinvent the wheel, because it does feel like a side project. You know, the same game dev studio is working on 2 different games, but one of them is obviously much bigger, with the Survivors probably being there to tide us over until the release of Abomination Vaults. And as long as it's not a throwaway project, that's okay. You know, if they have an A team working on Abomination Vaults, and they have a B team working on Gallowspire, I think that has phenomenal promise. If Gallowspire does well, hopefully we see more playable characters, which leads to more combinations to bring in for your AI companion. I hope there's plenty of build variety. You know, it's not going to be the same couple of feats. You know, because I think that would almost be a little bit boring, is if they lean too hard into the TTRPG aspect and give you, like, guaranteed level 1 feats, level 2 feats, that could actually get kind of boring if every run has the potential to be the same. The reason these games are so fun and so replayable is because you never know what you're going to get on your next playthrough. That being said, I'm not saying it's impossible to make it interesting. If they can find a way to keep the game interesting while also making it consistent, you know, more power to you. I'm excited to see how BKOM is going to change the game, because it's very easy to mimic, it's hard to innovate, and this is BKOM's first chance to show us they mean business. You know, Gallowspire I don't think is getting a Kickstarter. I think this is a game they've been working on, and they are wanting and ready to release it. So if this is what we're going to get before Abomination Vaults, this has to be good. If Gallowspire launches, and it is clearly like a throwaway title just to buy time for Abomination Vaults to come out, that's going to feel bad. I'm not going to lie. That's going to feel really bad. It's going to lose a lot of credibility for the company. You know, when you make a game, no matter how big or small, even if it's a small little Survivors clone, which are partially popular because of how easy they are to make, you still can't, you don't make it a throwaway. Because that will be what everyone is looking at as your most recent release. And then 6 months later, when you release Abomination Vaults, everyone's going to think, oh, you know, you're not going to try on last game. Why would we think you're going to try on this game? Why would we give you our money? So, that's my thoughts there. This was originally going to be a video, like, explaining what a Survivors like is. But I feel like this is very much show, don't tell. You know, what you see is what you get right here. What is that? What is that luck thing? I don't know. I picked it up. It's gone. It's just a very zen, chill bullet hell. Which is weird. You know, that feels like an oxymoron. Because there's... like, just wait. We're still 6 minutes in. I should mention, most Survivors clones, at least all 4 of the ones I've ever played, I think I've played Soulstone Survivors, I've played Halls of Torment, and I've played 30 Minutes Till Dawn, I think that's what it was called. Really cool stylized one. But there's always a 30-minute time limit. I don't know who... I mean, obviously, Vampire Survivors is the ones who decided 30 minutes. No more, no less. If you survive 30 minutes, you win. The end. Full stop, no cap, bussin', other youthful statements. So, yeah, you can see at the top, there's a timer ticking up, 6:45. If I survive for 23 more minutes, the game is over, and I win. GG, well played. I'm guessing Gallowspire is going to follow this, but who knows? Again, if they're trying really hard to show they mean business, maybe they'll innovate it. Maybe they'll make it endless, or maybe there's going to be a whole... Maybe a campaign is going to be one full playthrough. That would be interesting. If, like, you are never going to reach the end on your first playthrough, something like Hades, maybe, really lean into the roguelike, where the full game maybe takes, like, 2 hours, and you start from level 1, go to level 20 or whatever it's going to be, and end at that super high level after, like, a massive long run. That would be kind of cool. Oh, yo, we got the purple. Sorry, the dopamine rush of that these games give you is incredible. That's what they need. No way. Wait, did we get the... No, okay, I thought we got the legendary for a second. But you need to be able to replicate this Gallowspire. I don't care how. You can do it in your own way. But you gotta be able to replicate the dopamine rush of seeing the upgrade you need. You know, seeing, Song of Mana, that's fine. Seeing the upgrade material. Part of Vampire Survivors is that if you get 2 specific items, you can evolve them. So because I have the Black Heart and the Whip items, those are eventually going to evolve together to make my whip way more powerful and give lifesteal. Santa Water is huge, but I kind of want to level up Song of Mana. I'll take the Santa Water. You want to pick up items when you can, because that guarantees that their upgrades will start appearing, which is what you want. But overall, this is a game that you put on some music or a TV show in the background, you're off to the races. You are just going to vibe. And I'm curious if that's what Gallowspire is going to go for, or if Gallowspire is going to go for a more active experience, which, again, would be an interesting way to innovate the genre. Halls of Torment sort of did that. Halls of Torment is a much more active gameplay when you turn on aiming. You know, you can turn on auto-aim and it functions fine, but if you turn on aiming with Halls of Torment, you've suddenly got a game that you're focusing on, you're aiming at all times, you're moving around the screen, which is fine. It's fun. It's really, really cool. It's a nice twist. That's why I loved Halls of Torment. That's why I got like 20 hours of gameplay out of that $3 game. It was great. But at the same time, you don't want to do something so drastic that it goes against the grain of the genre. You know, people love this genre because it's so simple, because it's so approachable. You know, you load up Vampire Survivors here for the first time, and your guy just starts whipping, you realize, oh, I'm just going to walk around. Make sure the guys line up with my whip. GG. I figured out you have learned the game. You have learned 90% of the game. You are now going to get new weapons, new items, and keep doing that. Keep lining yourself up and making hits, make number go up, get more upgrades, get bigger, get better. Feels great. If you try to do too much to this formula, you're gonna end up with something messy. And I hope that Gallowspire doesn't become something messy, you know? I feel like there's a fine line between Vampire Survivors, which is, I would say, is still probably the top tier. I don't think any game has surpassed Vampire Survivors in quality. Did I not get a treasure chest from that boss? I think Vampire Survivors is both the first and still the finest in its genre. It's got great weapon variety, it's got a lot of upgrades, it's got some semblance of story, which is wild if you keep following it. There's a lot of story to be found here. It's really cool. But overall, what you see is what you get. This is what you play. This is what I've played for 30 hours, is what you're seeing right now. You walk around, you deal damage, you watch all the numbers. You know, it gives you that number damage upgrade rush of something like Diablo, like an ARPG. But with the arcadey nature of a replayable high score game, with the meta progression of a roguelike, and the simplicity of... I hesitate to say a mobile game. Because this isn't a mobile game. I don't actually know any mobile games that play in this style. But... the simplicity of something, I can't even... Like a simplicity of an idle game, almost, with just the control of the movement. You know, the strategy is all done in pause menus, which is why it's so approachable. You know, the strategy is, ooh, do I take a free revive? Do I reduce the cooldown so I attack faster? I have time to think right now. You know, the game is hectic, but the second you level up, you can pause, you can breathe, you can take a drink of water, and you can take the empty tome so you can attack faster. And then you open a chest, and you get a blue. Stinky. Yeah, so I don't know how much of this Gallowspire is going to steal, how much of it Gallowspire is going to try to use. Honestly, the one thing I hope they do, I kind of hope they steal the evolution system. This is something I don't see enough games stealing, of all of them. I don't think any of them do. 30 Minutes to Dawn, I think, has some kind of evolution, but it's not the same way where you get, like, one weapon and one support item and they combine together. I love that. So, Gallowspire, if you're going to do something, I think making maybe, like, class-specific evolved items could be cool. So, like, oh, if you take the Warhammer on the Mage, maybe it'll evolve into a flaming Warhammer that does fiery explosions on the ground. And then maybe if you take the Warhammer on the Rogue, maybe they can, like, throw it and it gets returning and it spins around and comes back to them and hits in a group. And then if you get it on the Fighter, maybe they can do a whirlwind attack. Maybe they can spin in a circle with a Warhammer. I think that is an untapped potential for the best way to... How do I want to say this? I think that would be a great way... I accidentally just increased enemy amounts, which is fine. Don't worry about it. And more enemies, sure. More enemies means more money, more experience. What was I talking about? Yeah, I think if you steal Vampire Survivors' weapon system, where there's, you know, like 30 different weapons, you can pick up like 5 of them per run, 6 of them per run, but then you make it so each weapon, maybe at max level, evolves into a unique version for the class you're playing, and then when you level up your class, you know, I know we're getting the feat system. I know they've mentioned we're getting a feat system, so you level up, you'll take your fighter feats, and your rogue feats, and your mage feats, depending on the character you're playing. But I think having a little bit of overlap between the characters is not a bad thing, and in fact, I think that's to be expected. That's standard fare in a Survivor-like. You know, no matter which character you're playing. I'm playing the Whip Dude. There's like 20 characters in Vampire Survivors. At the end of the day, their only difference are small benefits. One character gets more projectiles. One character starts with a specific item. One character can revive once on death, I think. That kind of thing, take that to the next level. If you only have 3 playable characters, Fighter, Mage, and Rogue, you need to make them very different, which I have no doubt you're going to. You've already announced the... Also, sorry, I'm not even talking to you anymore, audience. I'm talking right to Gallowspire. You better make them so different that, similar to a tabletop RPG, there's multiple different versions of them. You know, you might be playing a rogue, but maybe you're playing a bow rogue, or a knife rogue, or I don't know, something else. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's multiple... A poison rogue, that kind of thing. I have no idea what this evolution does, by the way. What did I just get? Manaja. Might slow enemies down. Does it shoot different? Oh! I like that. What was I talking about? Yeah. No, so along with the feat system, which is going to be great, you know, as long as you take inspiration from Pathfinder and you allow your feats to focus on different types of builds, that's going to be awesome. But I think, yeah, if you can take it a step farther and maybe make the weapons... If there is a weapon system, you know, I don't even know if there's a weapon system, or if it's going to be more like the game Soulstone Survivors, which is abilities. You know, if you're playing a Berserker, you always have dual axes. But you can get a bunch of different abilities based on what shows up in your run, what you pick, etc., etc., etc. But I just think it would be a lot of cool build potential. So that there's not just, you know, Fire Mage, Ice Mage, Arcane Mage, or whatever, but then there's Fire Mage with a Warhammer, Ice Mage with a dagger, that kind of thing. There doesn't even, honestly, with how many characters and build options there will hopefully be, you wouldn't even need that many. That kind of thing gets exponentially more complicated in a good way, unless you take it too far. But, you know, if you think you've got, let's say there's 3 playable characters. Those characters, let's say they each have roughly 3 different ways to play based on feat selection, give or take. You know, give or take, oh god, this is bad. 3 different ways to play based on feat selection, give or take. And then maybe 10 weapons. Hell, if you could only equip 1 weapon, you could go even farther with it. Maybe get, like, 5 different weapons. A bow, a staff, a great sword, a sword and shield, and a hammer. Something like that. Take those, and then maybe you unlock feats based on the weapon you have equipped. You know, maybe even before you enter the run, you pick a weapon. That's an interesting idea in itself. You know, I'm going to play the mage with a warhammer. And now some of the feats a lot of the feats that appear are going to be based on the mage class and the warhammer. Now, don't cater all of the feats that show up based on level. I assume there's going to be some randomness. You know, it's a survivors game. There's gonna be some randomness to what shows up upon level up, I hope. Again, unless you can somehow make it interesting with consistent feats, you know, more power to you. I don't know how I would feel knowing, oh, when I go into a new run at level 1, I'm taking this feat. At level 2, I'm taking this feat. If you're playing with the 30-minute replayable time set, what does that mean? With the replayable 30-minute time limit, you know, I think you need to be careful with that. Because the second someone finds a build that just works, that's the only build they're going to use. And that's kind of a problem, because that removes replayability. Once they find their one build, they're going to use that build for the entire game. Every single run, because it's guaranteed. Whereas in a game like this, you know, I didn't know going into this I was going to use the Song of Mana. I didn't know I was going to use the knives and the whip. I guess I knew I was going to use the whip because this character starts with it. But I think the randomness... Why am I leveling up so many times? Hello? The randomness of the drops and the options on level up are what make the game so damn replayable. Because you don't know what you're going to play. Every time you load into the game, you have no idea what build you're going to use. You have preferred builds. You know, you have builds that you would aim for. You know, I always try to go for movement speed, because movement speed is just really, really strong in this game for getting you out of tight situations. But you're not guaranteed to get that offered to you. There's no guarantee you're going to be offered movement speed. And that's what makes it replayable. That's what I'm trying to say here, is the randomness makes it replayable. RNG, when it's done right, adds to replayability. Now, it can also be frustrating. I think that's where the too many options becomes a problem. You know, if you've got too many options and you never see the ones you want, that's also infuriating. I think that's why Vampire Survivors is so good. You get 6 different weapons per time you play through. And there's only... Ooh, 2 level ups on the Santa Water. Let's go. And there's only, like, what, maybe 15 weapons in the game? So every time you play, you're going to be using 1/3 of the arsenal. But you add depth to that. You're not always going to be able to evolve it. You're not always going to get the right support items. You know, I'm not going to be able to evolve all of these weapons. I was able to evolve my Whip and my Song of Mana, and I'm going to evolve my Santa Water. But I think that's it. I'm not going to be able to evolve my... I think I'm also going to evolve my Fire Wand at some point. I'm not going to be able to evolve my Knife. My Knife is maxed out. It's not going to get any stronger. Fire Wand. But that makes me want to play more. Oh, next time I'll keep my eyes out for the support item that evolves my Knife. Vampire Survivors, whether they did it intentionally or by pure accident, because again, this was just a tiny little game studio, a game released on Steam for $2. Maybe $3, I can't remember. but people went nuts over it because it was just an accidental gem. I don't know if they knew they struck gold or if they just released it for fun and the game popped off like hotcakes at a Denny's at 6 a.m. But they did something right. And the hard part now is whether they did it on purpose or not, Vampire Survivors has already succeeded. The hard part now for someone imitating is they need to take what has already been discovered. You know, they need to analyze why Vampire Survivors did so well. Why Rogue Ganasia didn't do as well. You know, why isn't Rogue Ganasia... I think that's the name of the game. Why isn't that one super popular? It's a good one. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's as good as Vampire Survivors. It's not quite as polished. But why did this one succeed? Why did Soulstone Survivors do so mid? You know, again, people got that game. People have played that game. I don't know how many. You can easily check on Steam, though. Why did those games not do as well as Vampire Survivors? And how are you going to alter your game to make it different from the copycats? What did I just get? Bald fire. Oh, nice. Awesome. That's... In some ways, that can be harder than making a whole new game from the ground up. Because there's so many cool ideas that might pop into your head, but you need to be careful that you're not just stealing ideas that already exist. And that goes down to a micro level. You know, what if someone says, ooh, what if we give the mage a column of arcane energy that goes up and down, and then at max level, it becomes a circle that grows over the screen and hits in a big area. And everyone there goes, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. That's awesome. That sounds like a really cool ability for the mage. And you don't realize you just made the Song of Mana. You don't realize you've made the item that I've been using this entire run that bounces in an area, hits everything, you know? Because you don't do it on purpose. I mean, sometimes people do, and that's really scummy. But a lot of the times, coming from someone who has developed for TTRPGs before, you know, working on Sinclairs with people, it's really easy to spend an hour working on what you think is a totally original concept that nobody has ever done before. And then you realize it's just something from your favorite game when you were like 9 years old. And you didn't connect it, because the design part of your brain wasn't thinking of nostalgia, but it was being influenced by it. So, that's my rant on accidentally stealing things. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it can. I got 10 more minutes to fill. How do people... I guess when you're streaming this game, it's easier. Most people who put this on YouTube are, like, streaming to a live chat so they can talk to people. They're also probably, like, explaining their builds, which makes it easier. But I'm sitting here 20 minutes in and I'm like, okay, I've talked about Gallowspire. I've explained the basics of the game as much as you can. At this point, like, what do I say? I'm leveling up my last few things. We are getting to the point of the game where if your build isn't online, you're just dead. There is definitely a DPS check at certain points. And if you fail that DPS check, guess what? You're dead. I would rather not have more enemies right now. Thank you, though. I appreciate the offer. I'm feeling claustrophobic. Alright. It's fine. Hollow heart. More max health. We're good. I am now falling out of commentary mode and into panic mode, and it's fine. I do wonder if I've got the power to just stay still. Like, if I have the damage output to just keep turning left and right. My biggest problem is my top to bottom. I have a lot of left to right power here. I don't have a huge amount of vertical power outside of my Song of Mana. I have my knives, but the problem with the knives is you need to move. Otherwise, they're just gonna aim in the last place you aimed. So if I want to aim up, I need to kind of step up. But this is going good. I don't think I need to panic. We're still at full health. We've got a good thing going here. Another thing that I really, really hope Gallowspire does, just because, you know, it's... I love it. I'm a sucker for it. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the term meta progression. Meta progression involves getting some kind of currency, whether it's experience, whether it's gold, whether it's something that is not... Oh, we got the fiver. What are we going to get? I have nothing to... I'm maxed out on, like, everything. What? But this money, you see, this money I'm gaining here at the bottom has nothing to do with this run. This is not going to affect my run at all. Okay, I'm just getting money. Oh, but I did evolve something. What did I evolve? What's that? Fuwala Fuwalu! Union of Vento Sacro and Bloody Tea. Wait. Yo! My freaking whip just evolved with another item. I vaguely remember that now, but that's rad. So now my whip's going in a circle around me and super out to the side. What are those explosions? Is that my whip? Is that my whip? Oh my god, the dopamine of this game. Like, look at the numbers! Look at the numbers! I get a new item? Since they combined, they take up one less spot. Yo! Hold on. I can definitely evolve something else here. I can get a new weapon that can evolve with either the spinach, I think, or the book. Let's banish garlic. And what banishing does means it's not going to show up ever again, and I get another chance. But meta progression. There needs to be a feeling of getting stronger between runs. That is part of what makes these so infinitely replayable, is you keep playing. I don't want any of these either. Banish. Banish the ebony wings. Man, I'm not getting any of my evolvable ones. Reroll. There it is, magic wand. That's what I was looking for. Boop. All right, cool. Every single upgrade we get now will be for the magic wand. But yeah, so in this game, you know, all that money I'm getting from chests and occasionally on the ground, all of that can be spent on upgrades outside. You know, I can get a small boost to starting health. I can get a small boost to experience earned. I can get a boost to movement speed. And so all this money I'm getting, just evolved the Santa water, by the way, all this money I'm getting is useful between runs, and it makes your runs feel that much more impactful. You get that arcade game style rush of, oh, I gotta beat it, I gotta win this on my life, otherwise I'm gonna lose my quarters. But at the same time, you get this feeling of, ooh, even though I lost this last run, I can get an upgrade. Next time, I'm gonna be even more powerful. And beyond that, you know, I unlocked a new character, I unlocked a new item. Ooh, I got this new weapon, what does that evolve into? That's what Vampire Survivors has done perfectly. There are like 6 different systems of meta progression. Like, let me count them. There's new characters, there's new weapons, there's stat boosts, there's basic achievements, which is like the oldest form of meta progression you know. Even though it doesn't really progress you, I still count it because it gives you that sense of accomplishment. But yeah, there's a lot to this game, and that's what's so fascinating about Vampire Survivors, is it is so deep yet so simple. And that's the beauty. And I think that's where a lot of these, I hesitate to call them knockoffs, because that knockoff has such a lower quality term to it, and a lot of these games are not low quality. You know, Soulstone Survivors is good. Rogue Genasia, even though it looks like, you know, kind of blurry 8-bit, that's a fun game. It's got its own upgrade system, which does great for that game. But it doesn't have, how do I want to describe this? It doesn't have the je ne sais quoi, because I can't think of a word to describe this, of Vampire Survivors, where Vampire Survivors comes across as not trying that hard. It is an 8-bit game where you walk around and your weapons attack for you. The end. Very arcade, very replayable, that's fine. But then they took that built-in replayability and they made more without looking like it. So much of the meta progression is sort of automatic. You know, you unlock characters by playing the game enough. You unlock new maps by playing the game enough. And then you have the ability boosts, which you spend in-game currency on, and that may, in your mind, as the player, you think, okay, that's the meta progression, that's what I'm focusing on, but then you've got all of this other subconscious meta progression you're not even thinking of. I didn't even think about this until I started rambling here about the new characters, about the new levels, about the new weapons. I never thought about how impactful that is on a subconscious level. How much that draws the player in to keep playing without feeling like it, you know? What Vampire Survivors does well, there's not a whole bunch of, like, silhouettes and question mark maps and stuff. It's not like, ooh, what is this? You better keep playing to find out. No, it's just, as you play, you unlock stuff. It just keeps happening. And multiple times throughout the game, I thought, that must be, wow, we got the legendary again. That's just a bunch of money. Multiple times throughout the game, I think, okay, I think I must have unlocked everything. That must be the last map. That must be the last character. That must be the last weapon. It just keeps coming. It doesn't stop coming. And it feels great because the game isn't dangling it in front of your face. It's like little surprise treat. It's like waking up on December 22nd. And your parents are like, hey, it's Christmas. You're like, no, it's not. It's the 22nd. They're like, yeah, well, we got you presents anyway. Have fun. And you're like, all right, you open your presents and it's great. And then December 25th comes around. And they do it again. It's Christmas. It's like multiple Christmases. Vampire Survivors. It's like multiple Christmases. So, yeah, it's this fascinating, amazing, layered experience of gaming that nothing has been able to perfectly recreate. And I think the problem that a lot of these games face, like Soulstone Survivors, is they do dangle things in front of your face. You know, Soulstone Survivors, right when you launch up the game, there's a tab where you can see all the unlockable characters, you can see the unlockable weapons for those characters, you can see the skill tree, you can see everything. You can see, like, the runes and stuff. And while, yes, up front, and I feel like in a design mindset, it's like, okay, yes, these are incentives. These should incentivize our players to keep playing the game. I don't think it works as well as the way Vampire Survivors has done it. I don't think it works as well as, hey, just keep playing, you're going to keep getting stuff. We want you to play the game because you're having fun. And then you will unlock stuff as a little bonus. Gold Fever, hello. You will unlock stuff as a bonus just by playing. We're not going to tell you what you're going to unlock or how to unlock it, but trust us, it's designed in such a way that as you play, you will unlock more. So just play. Have fun, Jimmy. You'll be fine. Just enjoy yourself. And we do. And I did. And now that I've played this much, I might continue. Because I haven't played this game in like a year. Since I quote-unquote finished it, I unlocked almost everything. I didn't get all the achievements, but I unlocked enough stuff. But like, I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. I've just been rambling, trying to count down this last 2 minutes. But it has been interesting unraveling at least how this has all worked in my mind. I could be totally off base with some of this. Maybe I'm just stretching a little too much. And the thing that still interests me the most is, did the Vampire Survivor devs do this on purpose? Were a lot of these design choices intentional? Or were they lucky? Because they're both valid. You know, I'm not thinking less of the devs if they did it and just got lucky with it. You know, sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you just make a design choice and you get lucky with how it's received by the public. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's its own whole strategy. That just part of life is luck, you know? I might die here. Are we dead? Are we dead? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Bats. Bats and bats and bats. And bats and bats and bats. And bats and bats. And bats and bats and bats. Hold on. Just holding my breath. Say something entertaining, Brogan. Hey, did you know I'm on Twitter? It's a cesspool. If you like degeneracy, go follow me on Twitter. Oh my god. But this is something I love as well. This game went from chill, ranting, talk, and hang out to, oh my god, I'm gonna die real fast. And that's part of what I love. The last 2 minutes of this game are just insane. And luckily, I've got a really strong build here. Usually, I don't think you can just sit here like this. A lot of the times, you're running. You're running, you're clearing through smaller paths to survive. You're not usually surrounded like this. Oh my god, I think I'm dead. I think I'm dead. I think I'm dead. I think I'm dead. I think I'm dead here. I think I'm dead. Come at me! The trees aren't helping. The trees are not being helpful. Oh my god. Oh my god. 36 seconds. Come on, 36 seconds. Come on, come on, come on. We got this, we got this. I could run, and I think I'd make it because I have the Hollow Heart. I have a higher maximum hit points, and I have lifesteal on my weapons. But I think I can do this. I think I can live. I think we're fine. 13 seconds. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 13 seconds. We just got a big clear somehow. I don't know how. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I think we're good. I think we're in the clear. Hands off the keyboard. Boom. There it is. And then the Grim Reaper shows up and you die. But there it is. That's Vampire Survivors. You complete the stage. You get the gold. You get to see which of your weapons did the most. Oh my fuwala fuwalu. 11 million damage. That was great. That was awesome. And then you do it again. You know, you load in. Maybe you spend some of your hard-earned cash on an upgrade. You know, oh, hey, now, once per game when I die, I come back to life with 50% health. Boom. You have all these upgrades you can get, and you have all these characters you can pick from. I don't think I even have all the characters. And all these characters can go to all these different maps. There's so much to this game, which is so simple on the surface. And if Gallowspire can give it that Pathfinder TTRPG spin while not overcomplicating the formula, I think there's a lot of promise to it. But they're going to have to work hard. Just because these games are simple to design at their base doesn't mean they're simple to make good. So BKOM, I'm going to be watching you. I'm excited for Gallowspire. Don't let me down, all right?